Sharing food has been a gesture of love for a long time. Sharing fruits and snacks are always cute, but with your dog, not so much. They might like your barbecue-flavored potato chips, but they also don't know what foods can cause liver failure. Since you're the human here, you should know which foods are poison in disguise for your dogs. Bacon is the best thing to happen to us, but it could be the worst thing for dogs. What's more interesting is that grapes, out of all the fruits, innocent-looking grapes, can kill your dog. Watch carefully till number 1 to find the most shocking one. Here are the 8 foods that could kill your dog. Number 8, avocados. You know how fun it is to have some avocado toast or an avocado smoothie in the morning for yourself. Then your little pup gives you the puppy dog eyes and you want to share a bite so desperately. Since you're the adult and the human, in this case, try to keep the avocados away from him. Small amounts are okay, but the seeds, skins, and stems are pure poison for them. They contain a toxic agent called persin that turns the healthy green fruit into a dog-killing machine. What's more, they have an incredible high-fat content, which, no, it doesn't mean that your dog won't fit into their Halloween costume. It means that the high-fat content can lead to a case of pancreatitis. Other than that, there's the pit, which does contain persin. But more importantly, it looks like a ball, making it incredibly attractive to dogs. It's also the perfect size to get stuck in your pup's throat, essentially choking your dog. And remember, no avocado, no guacamole either. Number 7, bacon. You might love a good old BLT, but your pooch might not. It's very tempting to toss that leftover pork to him, but pause before you do that, because if your pork is drenched in sauces and seasonings, then you should even put a pause on eating them. Usually, seasonings and spice rubs have a ton of salt, sugar, and added flavoring to them. If you're thinking of raw pork, then you should know it's not safe for anyone. It has a parasite known as Trichinella spiralis larvae, which can cause an infection known as trichinosis. It can lead to an upset stomach, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, pain, and stiffness, and so much more that you don't want to know. It's also very difficult for dogs to digest even plainly cooked pork. So, where does this leave us with pork bones? Well, you should leave your pork bones for a broth or something, because dogs can choke on these suckers. When they're cooked, they can dry out and become brittle. If they break into small pieces, they can be a choking hazard for your furry friends. Number 6, raisins and grapes. Grapes and raisins are soft and very small, so why would they be bad for your dogs? Well, no one really knows why, but what we know is that they can be highly dangerous to dogs. Doesn't matter the gender, breed, or age of your dog. Grapes can induce a whole bunch of symptoms in canines. These include loss of appetite, weakness, vomiting, dehydration, and even lethal kidney failure. If your dog has digested something like grapes or raisins, call your vet right away. They might recommend you give a pup a small amount of 3% hydrogen peroxide, so they throw up the fruit. However, if you can't get back that nasty little fruit, then pack your bags and head to the dog doctor. Lastly, do not do anything without consulting your vet. Obviously, you're not the one who's attended years of med school. Number 5, chocolate. We love chocolate, and it's only fair. They're so delicious. But it's common knowledge that the sweet goodness of chocolate is actually quite deadly to dogs. But have you ever wondered why? With most of these things on the list, it all depends on the amount of food and the size of your dog. Luckily, PetMD has a chocolate toxicity meter that shows the effects it can have on your dog. Chocolate contains a chemical called theobromine, and when it's digested, it gets changed into xanthine in your pup's liver, and this chemical doesn't do much good. It interferes with a special class of cell enzymes, leading to an increased heart rate and central nervous system activity, basically a sort of anxiety attack for dogs. But excessive vomiting, urination, and diarrhea your dog goes through after consuming chocolate are just its furry body trying to purge the toxins. So instead of meticulously weighing your dog and then the chocolate for several minutes, just avoid giving him the brown stuff at all. Number 4, caffeine. You might need a cup of joe to wake up in the morning, but that doesn't mean you should share it with your dog. Pet owners might not realize just how human eatables have caffeine in them. Any sort of energy drink, sports drink, coffee-flavored ice creams, and some medications have caffeine in them. Caffeine is a stimulant, and the effects it causes are actually a result of the toxic compound in it that we enjoy so much. But just a tiny amount of caffeine works on our pets the same way 3 cups of coffees make you feel. It raises the the blood pressure, causes cardiac arrhythmias, vomiting, diarrhea, and everything that will make you bend down and scrub for hours. Caffeine contains theobromine, the same compound that makes chocolate terrible for dogs. If you think your pup has had too much coffee, call your vet immediately. They might induce vomiting or give the dog charcoal to minimize the absorption of any toxin left in the GI tract. Number 3. Salt. Salty food is the center of the human diet, French fries, potato chips, and whatnot. But just because they're okay for us, which they aren't either, doesn't mean you can let your dog have more than a few bites. Salt in large quantities can actually cause salt poisoning. Dogs do not need salt to keep up with their electrolyte balance. Usually, this required amount of salt is covered in the dog food you give them, but since they have a much lower tolerance to salt than humans, even 100 milligrams can be too much. Obviously, that depends on the size of your dog, though. An excess of salt can lead to hypernatremia. This can lead to a lowered appetite, limping, scratching, and disorientation, and of course, heightened thirst and consumption of water and potential seizures. If you think your dog might have salt poisoning, you should first try to figure out how much salt the pup has digested. Otherwise, just call your vet if you think the situation is serious. Number 2. Xylitol. You wouldn't really give your dog gum. That's not something they'd like to chew on. But in any case, your pooch does steal a gobstopper or two. Just know that it's not a good sign. Gum, especially sugar-free candy and gum, has a substance called xylitol in it, and it's very toxic to dogs. First of all, it's very quickly absorbed into their bloodstream, which triggers the pancreas to release a huge amount of insulin. This leads to low blood sugar or hypoglycemia. Only 2 pieces of sugar-free gum can cause hypoglycemia, and 10 pieces can straight lead to liver failure. Even toothpaste and mouthwash has this stuff in it. But did you know that peanut butter, drink powder, pudding, and even ketchup has xylitol in it? Many pet owners give their dogs peanut butter as a treat without realizing it could be potentially poisonous. Number 1. Garlic and onions. Just a whiff of sizzling onions or garlic in a pan can make us drool, so it's obvious to assume that our pooches think the same. Onions, as delicious as they are, contain a toxic substance known as N-probyl disulfide. And if you are a chemistry geek, you might know what it is. Basically, this substance causes the red blood cells of your dog to break down. This leads to anemia. It attaches to the RBCs instead of oxygen, reducing the ability of a dog's body to review oxygen. Not only that, it even tricks your dog's brain into thinking that the blood cell itself is an invader. The worst part is, onions are in everything, from soups to baby food to chips and practically anything savory and packaged. And every part of them, including the flesh, leaves, juice, and even powdered form, is toxic to our beloved best friends. They don't even need to eat a large amount. Just 0.5% of a dog's weight has to be ingested to cause awful symptoms. The same goes for garlic leeks, chives, and anything in this family. Alright, which one of these foods surprised you the most? And do you have more to add to the list? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to InfoLab, and we'll see you on the next one.